Thank you, Simon, and good morning, everyone. I'm Joel Holliday, and I'm responsible for ensuring that exploration adds long-term value to the business through discovery. I'm pleased to be here this morning with you to share some key points of our exploration strategy, as well as some of the more exciting projects in our portfolio. I wanted to start this morning by setting the scene with this well-known chart which shows the declining discovery rate of new gold deposits over time. I haven't included it here, but the chart for copper discoveries looks remarkably similar. In short, and for a multitude of reasons, as an industry, we have largely lost the ability to discover new deposits. The long-term impacts of this lack of success against the backdrop of increasing production are manifold and cannot be understated. To name just two, we are witnessing ever-increasing competition for a shrinking pool of assets, with growth more often achieved through expensive M&A rather than discovery. And secondly, deposits are being high-graded, whilst depletion is replaced with lower quality reserves, if at all. This decline in new discoveries isn't going to be reversed by the eagerly awaited silver bullet of artificial intelligence. And unfortunately, as an industry, we will never experience the spectacular discovery rates of the last century again. However, those organizations which have a strategically driven, long-term approach to organic growth, built on a foundation of geological understanding, will be able to buck this trend and create enormous value. Both Barrick and Randgold, prior to the merger, excelled in organic value creation, and many of you will be familiar with our exploration strategy and will recognize our successful long-term approach to growth. This chart shows how Barrick has built and continues to build enormous value through exploration success, both with new greenfields discoveries and significant brownfield resource additions. As you've heard, this growth success remains one of our core competencies, with Gold Rush and 4 Mile being the most recent standout examples. The total amount we've discovered, and which is displayed in this graph, is an exceptional 250 million ounces, up from 235 million ounces when I last presented an equivalent slide 2 years ago. Of course, not all ounces or pounds are equal, and the first prize is to identify and secure opportunities at an early stage, capturing the maximum value as their scale and quality is realized, then progress through development and into production. That is why Barrick has teams focused on generative geological work and early stage exploration, one of an increasingly small group of majors that does this. The blue arrow on this graph depicts the value added through the critical task of brownfields exploration, where the focus is more on depletion replacement and resource growth by adding ounces at an equivalent or higher quality to existing reserves to maximize the value from invested capital. And as Simon has just shown, Barrick is a world leader in this field. Our investment filters, shown again here in the table, apply equally to all exploration opportunities, both early stage and more advanced. This slide depicts the range of geological environments where world-class gold and copper deposits are formed. And as you can see, there are many different settings, each with their own unique processes and characteristics. To be successful in the search for these varying deposit types, a world-class team of experts is required to guide on where to go and how to execute effective and efficient exploration programs to make those discoveries. Barrick's exploration teams are exploring for a range of different deposits across the globe, most notably orogenic gold deposits in Canada, West and Central Africa, porphyry copper deposits in the American Cordilleras and the Tethyan Belt, high sulfidation gold deposits in the Andes and the Caribbean, and Carlin-type epithermal gold systems in Nevada, not to mention the sedimentary copper deposits of the Copper Belt in Zambia and the DRC, or the VMS copper deposits of the Arabian Shield. And of course, not all places are equal in terms of prospectivity, and certain special parts of the globe have been the focus of multiple long-lived ore-forming events, which is where we want to be exploring. So to be a world-class exploration and mining business, one has to have a global outlook and be prepared to go where the world-class deposits are most likely to occur. As a result, in recent years, we've started exploring in new jurisdictions across all our regions. We rigorously apply our investment filters in the evaluation of any new opportunity, and this discipline means that sometimes we have to walk away from otherwise compelling opportunities where we can't tick all of those boxes. In this slide, the red stars show where we have active exploration projects, some of which are in countries where we do not yet have an operating mine, and you can clearly see that we're active in almost all of the world's most prospective geological terrains. A key to sustainable and long-term value creation in this industry is the careful stewardship of a pipeline of near, medium, and long-term opportunities. As with any investment portfolio, we constantly reprioritize targets as they're evaluated. It's a dynamic process, and there's no shortage of exciting targets, which we've been successfully promoting towards the top of this triangle. While standalone greenfields targets need to surpass our Tier 2 filter at a minimum, shorter-term, near-mine opportunities around our operations may be smaller, but need to offer a quicker pathway to significant value addition and optionality. Importantly, and by design, our exploration budgets do not fluctuate with the metal prices or to accommodate our expanding portfolio. Expenditure is therefore controlled by budgetary as well as technical discipline, which results in lower priority targets being removed quickly from the portfolio, with our budget being focused on only the very best prospects. With that introduction complete, I'd like to take you through a summary of our projects, starting in the Africa and Middle East region. Our geological teams here are active on both greenfields and brownfields targets that extend across 8 countries, which account for a large part of our lower risk brownfields exploration portfolio. Over the last 2 years, we've had significant exploration success, particularly around our Tier 1 gold operations, and I'll speak to Lulu and Kibali in the next slides. In Tanzania, we continue to test targets around the North Mara and Bulyanhulu deposits, as well as along the major structures hosting them, identifying significant potential for further discovery. Meanwhile, our greenfields exploration portfolio in Tanzania has undergone a major expansion, with the consolidation of several large-scale, highly prospective ground positions in the Lake Victoria Goldfields region, where historical exploration is limited and in many cases failed to recognize the complexity of post-mineral cover. On the copper front in Saudi Arabia, we continue to return exciting results from an expanding portfolio around Jabal Sayed, whilst beyond Lumwana, our exploration teams are consolidating ground and assessing opportunities across the Central African Copper Belt, with the goal of delivering the Copper Belt's next major discovery. Kibali, in the northeast of DRC, is a special place with a total endowment greater than 20 million ounces. On the next slide, I'll show the opportunities for growth around the main KCD deposit, including the nearby ARK target, which I've circled in red here, whilst elsewhere we are evaluating targets along the 50-kilometre long mineralised KZ trend, much of which we've only really scratched the surface of. As a direct result of our work at Oere, which we converted from a discontinuous geochemical anomaly into a significant resource, our focus shifted to other weaker surface showings along the KZ trend, which hosts most of the known mineralisation at Kibali, and led to the drilling and confirmation of continuity of mineralisation at the Aindi-Watsa target, which is located along a particularly sparsely explored segment of the trend. Exploration work at Kibali continues to identify the potential for further discovery, and the ARK target is beginning to look like the next emerging satellite deposit in the district. For context, much of the mineralisation at Kibali is developed within plunging chutes, controlled by tight fold hinges, and in some special parts of the project, these form in sufficient density to create large, high-grade deposits like KCD, where you can see from the intersections at the bottom of this slide, we continue to extend the high-grade mineralization down plunge, highlighting significant long-term growth potential. Immediately adjacent to KCD, at the ARK target, there are several historical pits and a small past-producing underground mine. Our drilling in the area has not only significantly extended known mineralization down plunge, but continues to identify additional shoots of mineralization, of which we believe there are more to be discovered, and are now sufficient in scale and number for it to be considered a really exciting target. And you'll appreciate that a recent drill intersection, 12 meters at 231 grams per ton from a newly identified shoot, gives us the confidence to be bullish about the remaining potential at ARK and at Kibali in general. The world-class Lulu district in Mali and Senegal is certainly a place where our perseverance has paid off, with multiple major discoveries made throughout the project's history, and where we continue to find new zones of significant mineralization. With our mines here continuing to grow reserves net of depletion, exploration is focused on evaluating targets with high impact potential, including large-scale extensions and repetitions of the Gounkoto and Yalea ore bodies, as well as stepping out along the key structural corridors in the district, which are still underexplored away from the existing deposits. This prolific district certainly has more to deliver, and our focus recently turned to an exciting opportunity at the Boboto target on the Lulu mining lease. Boboto was explored in the early days of Randgold's time in the Lulu district, resulting in the discovery and delineation of several relatively small deposits which were mined for their oxide resources. Using the geological learnings from our other discoveries in the district since then, the exploration team recently returned to reinterpret and reevaluate Boboto. The evaluation of the full scale of this system is still ongoing, but the results to date support the potential of this target to develop into a valuable satellite deposit, and is an excellent example of the value of continually reevaluating old geological models, even in mature districts. The restructuring and refocusing of the Latin America and Asia Pacific exploration team has continued since our last investor presentation and has resulted in material changes in both the team and the portfolio across the continent. The strategy remains focused on providing optionality to the operations in the region, but with an increasing drive on the developing new greenfields targets. And the teams have been very successful in cleaning up our portfolio and defining some very significant but as yet untested opportunities, particularly in the Andes, as I'll show in the next slide. We're also progressing a number of early-stage projects across the Dominican Republic. We're evaluating virtually the entire country of Jamaica and are now drill testing the best targets from the last portfolio we accessed and evaluated in Japan. Furthermore, it has been immensely exciting to restart the exploration around Reko Diq in Pakistan, which I'll speak to shortly. Moving to Latin America, I'll start with Peru. Barrick has a long and very successful operational history in Peru, which, as you may know, has an exceptional endowment of world-class deposits and a proactive pro-mining government and administration. Our refocused exploration portfolio contains several targets, all with the potential to be our next discovery, including the Corapuro copper and gold porphyry project in the south, and at another target, Libellula, in the center of the country, our teams have identified a large, high-sulfidation gold system close to our Piarina closure project, and drilling begins there next week. Ecuador is a new frontier for Barrick, but one that is very exciting, and I believe will in time fully justify our entry there. Our generative and new business work identified opportunities to secure significant porphyry and epithermal prospects in the well-endowed Jurassic belt in the south of the country, which we secured through a successful public tender process with Inami, the state-owned mining company, last year. We now have multiple geological teams carrying out early-stage fieldwork on those projects, and we look forward to reporting our progress there in coming quarters. The Reko Diq project in Pakistan is a large cluster of mineralized porphyries at the western end of the Chagai Belt, which you can see in this slide, with the Reko Diq mining and exploration permits shown as red polygons. As I mentioned before, as a geologist, it is an incredibly exciting district to be working in, with outcropping porphyry mineralization across the permits. For various reasons, we believe we can deliver significant upside around this already world-class project, and our geological teams are supporting the feasibility study update and currently testing a portfolio of opportunities across the mining lease, where the priority is testing targets which have the potential to add value to the project in the near term, rather than just extending the significant life of mine. In the map on the left of this slide, which zooms into the Reko Diq mining license, you can see various mineralized porphyries which are labeled in the map and shown in red or purple, with the main western porphyries in the largest green ellipse. The Reko Diq geology team, supported by a number of our global porphyry experts, has been working meticulously through a huge relogging, reinterpretation and target generation exercise. As part of that process, the first exploration holes drilled in the area in more than 15 years have all confirmed mineralized extensions outside our existing resources. I've shown one example of this work in the cross-section on this slide, where a recent hole drilled outside the known mineralization at the H8 deposit, one of the porphyry systems inside the mining lease, intersected strong mineralization from surface, which remains open and is probably the best hole drilled in this target to date. We think this speaks to the massive potential at Reko Diq, confirmation of which I'm sure I'll be sharing with you for many years to come. And finally, to North America, where the lion's share of our exploration budget is devoted. In the last 2 years, the exploration team in the region has built on the mandate to expand in the US beyond Nevada. For obvious reasons, I don't want to say too much about our generative work here, but we've consolidated multiple projects for both gold and copper outside the Carlin district, and we'll obviously share this progress with you in more detail as and when we can. In Canada, the team has successfully expanded our exploration portfolio across the Superior Craton in Ontario and Quebec, with early stage and exciting projects. The Sturgeon Lake project is a belt-scale opportunity where our mapping has identified multiple mineralized intrusions associated with large structures which are as yet untested by drilling, whilst Norris is a covered and poorly tested segment of the world-famous Cadillac-Larder Lake fault zone, which we are preparing to drill. And we are identifying and testing geochemical anomalies in till at the Patrice project in Quebec, which is located on a splay off the same fault in a similar geological setting to the nearby Malartic mine. Carlin exploration, as you probably know, can be slow and expensive due to the thickness of barren cover on top of the prospective lithologies. But this is one of the world's highest grade and most endowed gold districts, and so any risk is well balanced by the potential. And of course, we mitigate this risk further through the understanding and application of geological models. As you heard from Simon, the team has had great success extending the known mineralization around Leeville, generating deeper and as yet untested targets from surface mapping and geochemistry. As the MRM team successfully continues to extend the mineralization around the mines in Nevada, the exploration team has focused on drilling in 2 large basins within the main trends, resulting in the identification of 2 substantial untested targets characterized by strong Carlin alteration and geochemical anomalism. At Swift, shown in this map in red, we've recently intersected the first narrow zones of higher grade mineralization within one of these very large altered areas, which is very exciting for a target so close to the world-class pipeline deposit. You've already heard about Gold Rush and 4 Mile, but I wanted to finish on this slide to show that as the development is ramped up at Gold Rush, and the drilling at 4 Mile continues to confirm its huge potential, the exploration work around these deposits has not stopped. We are driving target generation along strike from known mineralisation and along parallel structures around 4 Mile, shown here in red, which will be prioritised and drill tested as the studies at 4 Mile progress. When you consider the existing endowment of this area, the sheer scale of the Cortez district, and the track record of discovery and value creation from this team, you'll understand why we're confident in our ability to keep delivering on our growth strategy, both from here and also across our wider global portfolio. And I hope I've been able to give you a flavour of that exciting potential this morning. And with that, I'd like to thank you for your attention, and I'll now hand over to Graham Shuttleworth. Thank you.